Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to be talking about Bernie Sanders, and specifically, what are the seeds of his destruction? All right, so of course I'm an Andrew Yang supporter, and so I am watching these other candidates who have the opportunity to snatch what Andrew Yang should own, right? Like the presidency. I mean, I really, Beto O'Rourke recently got in trouble for saying that he was born to be in it. Right. Well, I truly believe Andrew Yang was born to be in it. Right. I think he's the future of this president. Right. He's the future of this. He is absolutely the future of this country. And so I'm watching carefully. Like, what are the obstacles? Bernie Sanders is a very real obstacle. I think the seeds of Bernie Sanders' destruction are what he stands against. He stands against Wall Street, health insurance companies, drug companies, fossil fuel industry, military-industrial complex, the private prison industry, and the large multinational corporations. What? That is seven different groupings of corporations. That is absolutely astounding, right? I couldn't believe, and this comes not from any of Bernie's website or any of his writers. This came straight out of his mouth. You could find this right on YouTube, where Bernie Sanders is introducing himself, and he says, "I stand against these things." Right? He's not just standing against corporations. He's standing against entire groupings of companies within industries. 7 separate, unique industries, right? Now, I think the thing that is amazing, and in my opinion, these are absolutely the seeds of his destruction, right? And these seeds of destruction grew a flower of destruction in his last campaign. And I think it's super clear they're going to grow another flower of destruction in this campaign. You just cannot stand against this many things. I think Bernie fundamentally is really just kind of a grouser. Every time, to me, the majority of the time when he is talking about things he is not happy about, things that he wants to change, right? Now, if you're a politician, you have to have verbal prowess, right? You have to, essentially, when you're talking to the American people through the media, you're telling a story. You're telling a story of, here's who I am. You're telling a story of, this is what I stand for. You're telling a story of, this is the American future with me in charge, right? And you've got to put some rhythm in your story, right? A story has a beginning, a middle, and an end, right? There are ebbs and flows, right? You go up and you go down. You go up and you go down, right? And Bernie is just down, 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 up, down, 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 down. Right? It's amazing to me. And I feel really bad for Bernie and his supporters because I really feel that it's very clear they caught a raw deal in 2016. I don't think the DNC was fair to them. And, but, okay, so granted, it wasn't fair what happened with Bernie, and I think he deserved better, right? But here's the problem. I think the DNC was right. I think they knew he's a socialist, right? There's still tons of Americans who remember the USSR. There are current Americans who know what are happening in Venezuela. There are current Americans who, despite, not having a clear view of China, for many Americans, some Americans see exactly what is happening in China. China restricts religious liberty. China restricts communication liberties. China restricts liberties left and right. They just got done determining how many children you could have. They restrict liberty at a level that is virtually unprecedented, right? And they still have 1 billion people living there, you know what I mean? And all those people are living in a reality where they're so restricted, they can't make their own choices. They can't really, really act as free and independent human beings. And that is not fair, right? And all that is socialism, right? That is attached to communism, and which is very, very closely attached to socialism. So it's not the only reason to have concerns about a Bernie president, but it is one. And there are many Americans, not even most anymore. Granted, I totally get that socialism, for many Americans, is not attached to China, Venezuela, and Russia, right? They don't, well, actually the USSR, which is gone now, like completely gone, right? But even like countries, like there's just so many examples sitting here right on our own earth saying socialism doesn't work, right? So that's just a minor seed, but the real kicker here, right, is you cannot stand against this many groupings of American commercial power, right? And actually, let me make that more clear, like commercial opportunity, right? For every voter out there, when you have a list this long, right, how likely is it that they don't work in Wall Street, that they don't work for a health insurance company, that they don't work for a drug company, that they don't work for a fossil fuel industry, that they don't work for a multi-industrial complex, that they need multi-drug, that they don't work for a private prison industry, that they don't work for a large multinational corporation? There's how many people are left, right? So if you don't work directly for one of those, which if you do, you're like, oh my gosh, is my job going to be gone under Bernie? Even if you don't, you have brothers, sisters, uncles, friends, right? What are the odds that you're someone who is unconnected to someone who works in those industries? Virtually none, right? When you have a list that long of what you stand against, right, all of which are ongoing commercial concerns in America, providing not just jobs, but extremely well-paying jobs, high-end jobs, right? Your candidacy literally means I will be personally impacted, or someone I know is going to be personally impacted. They're going to be laid off. Their work is going to be reduced. Their industry is going to be hobbled, right? I can't understand how Bernie even has gotten as far as he has gotten. It seems incredibly clear that, with a list of things this long, there is no possible way that 51% of American people are not going to be either directly in one of these industries or have family or friends that are directly in those industries. It's almost a guarantee they would be directly in these industries. So with that said, it just brings up this big question of what are you actually going to do, as far as how are you actually going to manage this? If there's this many, if you are looking to hobble that many industries, if you're looking to shrivel their work, if you're looking to make some of them look almost villainous, right? What's left? What's left? What are, and it also brings up the question of what are the safe jobs, right? So the reality is I feel very bad for Bernie and I feel very bad for his followers. I think they definitely got a raw deal in 2016. They were not treated fairly. They should have been given a better run against Hillary Clinton. But the more I look at it, I see what the DNC saw. I think the DNC was very, very frightened by what they saw when they looked at a Bernie Sanders run. Because as soon as you put him up, you have a 77-year-old man telling a third of the people in America, I am coming for your job or I am coming for the job of your family and friend. Because with a list that long, easily, 20, 30, 40, 50% of America is going to be related in one way or another to those industries quite closely, right? It's just, and so I just think when you have a list that long and you have a candidate this negative, nobody needs to defeat Bernie Sanders. Absolutely no one needs to spend any time defeating Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders, I think he already defeated himself in 2016, and I think he absolutely defeats himself again in this 2020 election. The more I think about it, I truly don't think Bernie Sanders is actually, well, yeah, I don't think he's a threat to, I don't think Bernie Sanders is a hope in heck of beating Trump. But I do think he has the possibility of beating Andrew Yang. That's a serious issue. I think as Americans, as Democrats, think about this logically, because I think more than ever, Democrats are more than willing to think very logically and think very much like in go mode of how do I win, right? How do I win? And so I really feel like Bernie Sanders has the seeds of his own destruction within his own platform. It's right there. That's my thought. I would love to hear what you think. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.